Boom. Are we live? Are we live? Are we good? I think we exist. Yeah, just because it's because it's the podcast. I don't usually, we don't usually have the countdown on there, but it's how it works. Well, this is the thing. Welcome to the Immaterial Gamers podcast, or the live cast. If you're seeing us now on Twitch at twitch.tv/Immaterial Gamers, I've got to make sure that we're all there for everyone. I'm your host, Magnum PI. Some guy. Well, yeah, you also don't also have a silly Twitter bet story that is as to why you're called Magnum PI. Yeah, hi. The bearded one is not bearded. He's yeah. Now you see, the last time I had a bit where I had no beard, I used an a Snapchat filter to make it look like I had no beard, and then I kind of went, and then it went off. And now you know what I've not done? Oh my god, I so apologise. Duncan, do you want to introduce yourself again, mate?
Um, I'm
God.
Jeff Fader. I'm Duncan.
Oh, you know what
Why?
I
Why?
did?
What'd you do?
Here's how not used to like doing the live podcasts I am. I didn't turn your volume up.
Oh,
You were
hi.
you were muted for the beginning of the podcast. I'm
Oh, well,
so
that's
sorry.
unfortunately the extra minute and a half didn't give me any time to come up with a good pop culture reference to call myself by. Unfortunately, I'm still just Jeff
You're
Fader.
still
I'm still
still
just the
Jeff Vader,
co-host.
still the other guy.
I'm
Hey,
I'm I'm the guy who has slightly more beard, but that's only because I'm lazy and disgusting, not
yeah.
because I'm making like a statement.
Ah,
See, your facial hair has a story. Mine is the lack of a story. The lack of effort is what created this.
yeah. So for those who don't follow my Twitter account, which is even less than those who don't follow the Immaterial Gamers Twitter account, which is at Immaterial Gamer. I'm at not him again, and I made a mistake. Before we get into what's been played, so you know that we're doing this fantasy league for the LEC, yeah,
Mm.
and I you know enjoy the fact of making silly little Twitter bets. Last time we were on the podcast, we talked about the ongoing XL Twitter bet that I have. XL make playoff, Ryan goes bald. Simple
Hmm.
as. I posted on last Thursday, before I realised how broken Zeri is in pro play, particularly more in the LCS than in the LEC. I said the following: I am so confident that Zeri will not get picked in any match in the LEC this week that that if it happens, I will get rid of my slightly scruffy beard and replace it with a shudder moustache. And as you can see, the Mad Lions picked it up. Bloody
Yep,
Mad Lions.
so it would seem.
Yeah.
So I'm
This
getting
this
a lot of
and
ambient noise. My microphone stand is on a jaunty angle.
jaunty engage maximum jaunt. Uh, Hold on. Can I do that with the? Can I do that with the cap? Yeah. Well,
Sort of. Well, now your headphones and your head are on a jaunty angle. You're double jaunty.
yeah. No, I can't. I
John
can't.
Jaunty over here.
John Jaunty. I mean, let's
For
be
some
honest.
reason, your camera doesn't know how to interpret that. It's just getting all fuzzy around your head.
Yeah, but yeah. So yeah, fifth game of the Friday. About about 2 hours before we go live with play session, I see that Mad Lions first picked Zeri. So it wasn't even the fact that I was like, oh, I'm so close, I'm so close. Oh no! It was like after she wasn't banned, it was like, all right, Zeri's not banned. Let's pick her. And I was
Because
like,
you would figure, like, if you're going to a professional tournament where you're up against the best teams in the world, you've got your pick, your selection of champions
yeah,
that you practice with. Like obviously you got to have a few selects just because of like bands and all that. But
Hmm.
you've got it narrowed down to a list of characters that these are the ones that you are best at. These are the ones you know, and you would figure a character that just got released would probably not be a first pick of anybody.
Mm.
Because it's like you haven't had, even, no matter how powerful they are, it's like you don't know how they work.
Yeah.
You don't have that muscle memory of like the exact pixel of the range of all their abilities and the exact calculations of
Mm.
how to do damage.
Yeah. I mean, I guess the one thing that we did have is that oh, what's it called? Pro play in League of Legends is one patch behind live. So there is that bit that then there is a little bit of extra time that could be generated with a character. But I mean that also then comes to the fact that Zeri has been nerfed in the following patch. So they've got 2 weeks of Zeri at optimal play, and then she's probably going to disappear again. Um,
And
but
Mad
yeah,
Lions
so
saw a decline in performance thereafter. How sad.
half a. I'm not wagering half a bald head. The hair is purely the XL bet. Now I do have a silly Twitter bet that I'm considering for Renata Glask when she comes out, but I don't want to put it here, and I don't know how easy it is to get to a tattoo parlor. No, that's.
Oh boy, tattoos. No,
I mean, the
it's a
Glask
scare. That's
Industries logo does look pretty cool, but I don't know where. Uh, but that being said, so yeah, that was the mistakes of my week. So yeah, that was actually also, like I say, 2 hours before we're due to do play session, which, unbeknownst to me and Dee at the time, because Duncan and Andrea had kept it a secret, was Garth Cart. So there's nothing weirder than 10:30, 11 o'clock at night, -5 for Duncan and Andrea, of coming onto a Garfield Cart stream with this on my face.
yeah.
It's
Well, I mean, you're just like it's like NASCAR. Getting a golf cart move.
yeah, yeah, that's fair. I mean, we did have fun with a couple of the
I
Garth
wish.
Cart community.
Yeah, yeah. No, they got really super involved there. It was great.
Our
I kind of wish
boneless is great.
I wish. Yeah, I wish I had a couple. Yeah, Dwellness is great. I think he might replace one of our uh, one of our staff members here into becoming the next gamer. Um, I kind of wish I had a couple of drinks for that night, honestly, but I was due for D&D, and aside from just the general politeness of trying not to be drunk while playing D&D, it's also sort of a method acting thing where
Mm.
my character does not drink. Like he is
Ah,
stone cold
the
straight,
like
never.
teetotal.
He used to work in a bar, and it really like set him off seeing all the drunkards just wasting their lives and getting into fights and stuff. So that his whole character thing is he just
See,
water.
that's remind me on the sort of the flip side of that, because now that that's just brought up, because we know about Team Four Star, yeah, and
I've heard of
and
them.
all
I
that.
haven't really watched a lot of their stuff lately,
But,
but I'm well familiar.
but one of the voice actors from their Kurtazana or Takahara 101,
Yeah. Yep, that's the
yeah,
boy.
he's now a big Twitch streamer nowadays. He's on that VTubing trend.
Yes, I've heard that he has become a pretty
So,
boy VTuber.
yeah, he is. He's like a bartender. That's his
Mm,
that's his whole gimmick. But the whole point of
mm.
that gimmick is actually to be able to do that while dealing with the fact that, as he's been honest about, was an alcoholic.
Oh.
So I guess that's a sort of an interesting sort of way of doing it, and what, good on him, from this nobody on the internet. Good on him. I still remember when he took part in a couple of desert buses, and it nothing better than trying to argue about anime with a speech jammer, with one of the loading ready run guys, and leading, not said by him, but I think it was responded to him, the classic line, "Anime is for jums."
For jums.
So, yeah, that's cool. But right, you know what? I actually like whole idea of doing the warm up in the middle of at the beginning of a podcast. We used to do it back in the day of the recorded podcasts, and I think it's nice to just get everything limber again before we go into
Oh,
our.
sorry, I've
Oh
turned off
my
my
god!
webcam.
No,
I've turned into a small dog.
you've turned into a small dog, and you're now called Ryan. Oh no, wait, there we go. Duncan is back.
I fixed it.
I was
it.
I was I was
My
you for
the
about
port
five
that my
seconds there.
webcam USB is into is, first of all, on the front of my computer, which I really should change that. But it's also very sensitive, very loose. So just literally touching it at all will turn it off briefly. But no, I mean, I'm all about the chatting. I like it
Yeah.
more than talking about video games. Honestly, I can shoot the shit for hours.
Well, I mean, we could always do this as as an experimental one, and and then come up because I can tell you this: I haven't played much other than what was streamed. I haven't actually played much this week. I mean, I can tell you, finished Shin Megami Tensei 3 finally.
Hey, you did it.
And speaking of mistakes, guess who got the wrong ending that they were planning to go for?
Oops.
Hello.
Oops.
So
This guy.
yeah. So in Nocturne, or Lucifer's Call, as us over the pond had called it, um, there are five endings to the game based on flags that you trigger throughout the conversation points with the main characters of the game. Two, which are supposed to be your high school friends. One is your teacher, and then the other is just a prick. He's the guy who sort of sets it all off, which is still not great because of the fact that before going into this and realizing that these endings were going to happen, I named the two high school friends Portal and Masamune for Andrea and Stefan, and the teacher I forgot to name.
Oh boy.
So it's bad when you get to the end game and you have to do 3 boss fights and you have to kill your friends.
Oh, well. I can't
Um,
believe you would kill my sister like that, you fuck.
I did,
I'm,
Martin. I did not enjoy every bit of it. I had to have a 35-minute boss fight against Steph. Thank you very much. 35 fucking minutes because
that's a
because
long boss fight.
because Persona's part of the SMT family, so weaknesses and strengths are the big thing, and my big beefy demon or demi-fiend player character was great with the physical damage, which is great against the boss fight against Steph, except after the first couple of rounds he changes elements, which means he deals a different elemental attack each round and takes damage from only a specific elemental attack each round.
Oh,
And
like a spheromorph from Final Fantasy 10.
yeah,
I can't do numbers.
kind of, yeah, a bit like that. And then what's completely off the table is fucking physical damage.
Very good.
So I'm useless, and each one of my other demons had one element each that they were doing. So it wasn't a difficult fight. I wasn't taking tons of damage, but it was just long. So I didn't realize because I went into the thing as well. Because usually when I'm doing these streams, I take an hour, do an hour, then a break for a couple of minutes, and then so on. I got there about 55 minutes in, so it's like, it's not break time. I'll just do this boss fight. It shouldn't be too bad. Yeah, I come out of it 1 hour 40 minutes into the stream, and I'm like, oh, fuck.
Yeah, I had that problem when I went back and I'm doing a hard mode playthrough on Ori and the Will of the Wisps.
Mm.
And I thought, yeah, you know what, normal was it was a good game. I want to play it on hard, and it's enemies do a lot more damage, and it's challenging for sure. I
Mm-hmm.
was like, I'll get through this. I just got to get used to. I got to get better at dodging, better at evading. Once I get the hang of the mechanics, I'll be good. I fought the spider, and I don't know if you've played
I've played
the
through
game.
Will of the Wisp. Wait,
Yeah,
no, sorry, I've not fully played through
Blind
Will of the Wisp.
Forest
That's a lie.
was
Blind
the
Forest is the.
is the first one, and then I got Will of the Wisps is the second one, which I haven't played the first one. I haven't. I tried to play it as like a play session, but I mucked up my recording and my save file, and that didn't go well. I could probably restart that if I really wanted to,
Mm.
because I have a better computer now. I'd be able to run it without as many errors this time. But that down the line,
Yeah,
future.
future
But yeah,
plans.
The spider boss. Oh my god. Just getting into the habit of like relearning how to play the game and how challenging bosses are. Oh my god, that I think I was on that fight for like 45 minutes.
Oh,
Not only was the thing just a massive bullet sponge for damage, but it was just like I just died like probably a dozen times. It's just over and over and over again.
oh God,
Yeah,
no!
it was a nightmare.
I know, and that's just sort of like weird, and especially with something like Ori as well, where they take the achievements, man, achievements. Thank God I'm
Oh,
not
there's
like
some
an achievement hunter. What's the one for like? I think there's one for the Blind Forest. It's basically die no more than 5 times total.
I think there's one in um Will o' the Wisp that is don't die. Like just go through it without dying. I think there is I think there is an achievement like that. They
Sorry,
got some brutal ones.
yeah, I love those games. And you definitely love like, Will o' the Wisp. No, 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 no. None of that business. That's just it's
Yeah, let's look at some of these. They'll be under the locked section. Complete the game without dying. Complete the game in under 4 hours. Beat the game without any spending any spirit light. Beat the game without equipping a shard. Not picking up a shard. Not equipping a shard.
wow.
Don't ever touch corrupted water.
Jesus, man.
Um, and then the only one that I'm going for at all is complete hard mode. Eh,
Yeah.
I'm working on it. Yeah, they got
Oh,
some savage achievements on the bottom half there.
yeah. Oh God. Speaking of achievements, so yeah, because I was getting some at the end of Ezra SMT, I'll just sort of wrap back to that for a second as well, because like I said, I got the wrong ending, and there's a reason for that. It was a small mistake that happened 20 hours before I realised I've made the mistake in terms of gameplay. So it's not exactly something
Oh.
you could just, save scum for. I mean, I could have, but I didn't realise I was doing the wrong thing. So there are 5 endings in the game. There is one ending for each character who can make a reason. So your 2 high school friends and the villain in quotes of the piece. So if you agree with what they're doing, you can do a version of the game where you don't fight their boss, you fight the other 2 bosses and the boss at the end of the game, which is the moon. There's no other
Hey,
way of
just fight
saying
the
it.
moon. No big deal.
Kagetsuchi is the name of the 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 moon, and that's where the moon phases come from. Um, so
The
you can
moon's
do
name is
so you can do
Luna.
that. Then there is actually, I guess, there's 6 endings because
Oh
there's one for
boy.
each of them. There's the demon ending, which is if you don't align with any of their reasons and you just kill them all. And this is where I made the mistake. When you speak to the character that can provide you the freedom ending, which is this whole game has not been worth it. You just recreate the world back as it was. Uh, um, is if you answer to that character with cowardice, then you get the demon ending, which is what I got on stream. That wasn't what I meant to do. I was trying to go for the freedom ending, which you were supposed to answer with bravery. I didn't know that. I wish I could rewind those 20 hours so I could just get the ending that I actually wanted to get. But oh well. And then there's an ending called the true demon ending. So when
Oh
when we
boy.
got when we got the copy of Lucifer's Call back on the PlayStation 2, way back when in the early 2000s, um, that was our copy of the game. So it was released 3 times in Japan under 3 different versions. There was the
Oh
base
boy.
game. There was a version that contained a character from Devil's Summoner, which was one of the portable games. And then there was Lucifer's Call, which it was a big collaboration with Capcom, which meant that Dante from Devil May Cry was in that copy of the game.
Okay.
But then that added an extra dungeon called the Labyrinth of Amala, which had a whole load of prerequisites that you needed to do, like going down each. There were 5 floors that you could then only access each section by killing a bunch of optional, in finger quotes, bosses. in the main overworld that were supposed to be tougher than stuff that you would normally face out there. And then if you did that and you got down to the bottom of the Labyrinth of Mala and beat the last boss in there, one, you'd be able to get, well, partway through, you'd be able to get Dante as a summonable demon. But two, you would trigger the true demon ending, which meant you had to fight 5 bosses in a row. So there was the 3 reason-based bosses, the Moon, and then Lucifer. And then if you beat Lucifer, you have won the game, but you've got the worst possible ending. So you want to go constantly get kicked in the nuts all the time. Yeah, there you go. Play this ending, which I do like the fact, because there was something that was explained to Martin about as a bit of fun. While you're playing Nocturne, there is, in the top left corner, there is a moon phase, and it goes from new moon to 1 out of 8 to 2 out of 8, so on and so forth until it says full. And the new moons and full moons provide different sort of interactions with demons on the field, and there are some like chests that you can pick up where whatever you get out of the chest is based on the moon phase. Yes, and as Martin said, the Cathedral of Shadows has a special fusion type for when you're on a full moon. The Cathedral of Shadows is just basically the Velvet Room, if just to give you a bit of an analog on there. When you beat Kagutsuchi and you fight Lucifer, the moon phase changes permanently because it changes to dead. I mean, you've just killed the thing that provides the moon phase, so it makes sense.
Oh, I see.
So I always have those little bits of fun. But that means now I'm in that sort of decision that I don't know what RPG to start playing next, because now they've sort of finished that and they finished Yakuza Like a Dragon, and Mass Effect Legendary Edition is just staying on the pre-recorded videos. I'm tempted to.
I've had a really strong desire to play Final Fantasy X recently. I don't know what it was. That's just I've been listening to a lot of the music lately. And I've just been like, man, I would really love to play that game again.
Do you have access to Remastered?
Yeah, I've got the Steam version. I also bought the PlayStation 3 version when that released, and I was like, oh man, PlayStation, we're gonna have a remake of Final Fantasy X for the 10th anniversary. I'm so excited. It actually came out like 12 or 13 years after the release, but we don't talk about that. But just to think that copy is almost a decade old now is a hot fucking mess in my brain of like, where is the time?
I wouldn't even mind, but I mean, sort of the best thing that I've had with the remastered version is the remastered music. The remastered score is fucking awesome.
I would say I'm half and half on the music. I would say that like my only big gripe is a lot of like the horns and basses are really neutered in the remake. So there's not a lot of prominent drum sounds, not a lot of prominent horns, not a lot of prominent like bassy notes. Whereas anything that has to do with like the higher range of notes sounds awesome. I'm okay with any of that. Like the standard boss music is where it probably is like the most noticeable. I don't know if the song itself has like a track title, but like you know what I mean. Like there's like a generic boss. If it doesn't have a special boss theme, that is the song.
It was like So we're talking about bosses that basically aren't Yevon and fucking Seymour.
Yeah, and it's very noticeable just how like almost like dainty and like kind of lame it sounds in the new version versus how it sounds in the original, which is like boom, 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 boom. You know.
I guess. I mean, to be fair, my first the first encounter with sort of the updated music is the Zanarkand or the Dream Zanarkand. Spoilers, everyone. Sequence right at the beginning where you sort of face the Sinspawn for the first time, and this game also this game is so wanting to be different from every other Final Fantasy that came before it, to the point of even boss fights. It's just like, no, it's not just the fact that you're going to be facing these enemies here. Once you've got through so much of the fight, we're going to give you a trigger command. that basically says, "Oh, after fighting, you've just realised there's a fucking explosive truck to the right. Target that." Or
Yeah,
the Blitzball Machina, where it's just
it is
like,
one of those things where I almost feel like a little lame in a way because I'm like, because I know that the Final Fantasy X was kind of like a turning point for the series in terms
mm,
of like people, some people who played all the classic games got to Final Fantasy X and they're just like, nah, it's not really for me.
mm,
Whereas a lot of people who started at Final Fantasy X, they have a hard time going back to the older
yeah.
games.
Well, yeah, because this
And
was the
I'm
thing, really, wasn't it? That basically everything from 1 to 9 was, you know,
played more or less the same, like
yeah,
unique spins with every installment, but like the base fighting system
was the whole
was
ATB thing, which is,
yeah, the semi real time combat system, which they changed that for Final Fantasy X into a turn based, which I think they kept for a little while, and now it's all just like an action RPG, Kingdom Hearts
yeah,
style.
yeah. That's yeah. When you come to something like 15, which was just like, oh no, no, this is like full
Keep it
action
going.
RPG, and you've got stuff. It's like, oh right, your allies have got an ATB gauge that you can just like bind to a button as you're fighting. I actually kind of like that sort of idea.
And then they actually
Um,
went back to that randomly for like one for the sequel.
mm,
They just did that. It's like, let's do the other one again. Why
yeah,
not? Let's
yeah,
have a
that
last
was
hurrah.
that was a thing. And then it's like, I mean, I guess the weirdest one in terms of ATB would be Final Fantasy 12, that had the Gambit system, otherwise known as, if you could code properly, the go out and let the game play by itself while you go to the restaurant with your family feature.
Oh boy.
Because that was the whole thing. It's like, I don't know if you like how much of 12 did you actually experience,
I
if any.
I not really. I wouldn't say that I experienced 12.
Right. So yeah. So the idea is that basically they had the Gambit. So it went back to ATB for that game, but you could walk around, and so this was sort of like the in between of your Final Fantasies, not 10 and 15. So you could walk around the map and you would charge your ATB, and then it would do a function based on what you wanted it to do. But then it had the Gambit system, so you could turn on Gambit for a character, and it would give them a specific set of instructions, like, if health lower than 20%, cast Cure,
Yeah.
or if
You keep
health lower than
explaining.
20%,
You keep explaining. I my food's ready. I'm gonna go grab it.
go
To just keep
grab your food.
chatting.
So yeah, so well, while Duncan's here, I'll sort of explain that. While Duncan's grabbing his food, but you can still hear me. Yeah, so they all had specific sets of instructions. That it was all if-then statements. But so the further like through the character's job boards you unlocked, could unlock more gambit slots to the point that you could make a character self-sustainable and just let them fight on their own in a particular area. So it could get to the point that you could go into the middle of a farming area, turn on Gambit mode, and piss off out for the rest of the night, and come back, and ideally, your character's gained a whole bunch of gil and items and a whole bunch of levels. Or, more realistically, if you've coded it wrong, you leave and you come back and you get game over because your party's wiped because you didn't trigger your gambits right. But yeah, so that's sort of what they did on that. And in fact, there used to be a an MMO called Grand Espada, where you could do that. So you'd have you created a family of characters, and they could just automatically craft and stuff like that. This was pre-idle game, to be honest. And where farming and not exactly botting was acceptable. Um, but
I mean, yeah. I mean, when would this would have been? I know Final Fantasy 12 would have been like mid 2000s, right?
yeah, yeah, But it was always fun to do that. But
So that
I
wasn't
guess
really the idle
yeah,
game wasn't really a thing back then. Yeah.
no. I guess realistically, what I'm actually looking at is a game called Nobody Saves the World. Oh, hello, autofocus. Do you want to? There you go. Thank you. Yeah, what's it called? Nobody Saves the World. It's by the guys who made Guacamelee, but
Okay.
it's like a dungeon crawler RPG where your character is a literal nobody who has the ability to gain different forms, so they can actually be a somebody and fight stuff. And
Persona. Show me your true form.
oh Jesus, yeah. Let's think of it this way. You see, trying to think with Persona, the weirdest way of summoning personas and stuff like that. I mean, they never really showed the summoning of personas in 5, did they? It's just well, you ripped. Yes, okay, fair enough. P3.
Just
Yeah,
shoot
well,
yourself in the head.
yeah. Oh, yeah. That's actually not bring. That's not bring that back up. So yeah. Speaking of the RPGs, you and Andrea, like I say, you've just done uh, your first Better Together live of Persona 5 Royal.
Yes, we have. We just got off that a couple hours ago,
Yeah.
and it was fun. It was a little experiment. Something we could do on Tuesdays going forward.
Something that would help you get closer toward that 100+ hour playtime of the the game.
Yeah, no kidding. We're meandering along. I'm doing my best. I'm a better commentator than I am a player.
Hey, it always works.
Um,
Co-piloting streams is generally a decent thing. I tell you this is it can be tough sometimes to do a stream and just be talking and sort of just looking at the chat and hoping that you've got like a I'm lonely. Yeah, wow.
oh yeah.
Wow, Ryan, you sound sad. But yeah, just sort of wanting the chat to bounce. Whereas if you've got someone there to bounce off midstream, and I think that's why the play sessions definitely work. Especially Garth Cart. I can't believe that Garth. Who would have thought that probably one of our more successful streams for interactivity would be a, let's be honest, a Mario Kart knockoff.
Ah, come on, Crash Bandicoot card knockoff. Crash Team
Ah, yeah,
Racing
fair enough.
knockoff.
Yeah,
Let's
CTR. Yeah, that's fair. But I think that sort of explains our streams that we've done. I'll try and find. I don't know the clip that we've got of you having some sort of. I don't know if the clip that I actually put out for the PlayStation stream was you having your epiphany moment of. Oh yeah, that was it. Yeah, where you got a ring out in Mario Kart, I believe, was what happened. Which Mario Kart, Garth Kart, ring outs or like getting knocked off the map in that game was just it was just a constant thing. I still love the fact that after a game that's like 2-3 years old, your car can get flipped up on its side against a wall, and there'll be no collision detection to tell the game that you've flipped over on your side, and therefore need a respawn.
Yeah, but take a turn at slightly the wrong angle, and you might just freak the game out a little bit and cause yourself to reset to your last checkpoint.
Oh yeah, that's the thing. Yeah, go off a ramp at a 45-degree angle. You've crashed. No, I'm not. I'm still flying through the air.
I'm
Then
actually
again,
doing fine, but
there
thanks for
was
the
you.
eighth place.
There was you starting every race from inside the ground
Mm.
in the sub ocean or close to the sub ocean. So
Yeah, the camera would just, if I was in like the middle of the pack, the camera would just be like, zoo, and just float through the floor. I'm like, what are you doing?
Jesus, yeah. Imagine Mario Kart where's Lakuku or what was it called? The
Like a two.
floating one on the cloud, Lakitu. Yeah, yeah. Just started inside the ground. Wouldn't work out well. Let's be fair. So is there anything that's just while we're in this random chat? Is there anything that I brought up in in the news that would be interesting to talk? Well, I mean, I put out the one that from The Verge that just says NFTs are a scam, says indie game store itch.io or itch.io. Let's be honest, it's itch.io. Oh, no, it's itch. But yeah,
Hmm.
NFTs are a scam. To which we would go, yes. Thank you for agreeing with us, itch.
Hmm.
I believe NFT stands for no fucking thanks.
Yeah,
So
it's like I don't really understand like what the point of it is. It's like, as far as I can tell, it's like you just get credit for owning something that anyone can have an identical copy of.
by right click save.
And it's just like, I mean, it's not like it's actionable. Like, what, you gonna sue somebody over own it because of the fact that you own an NFT and someone's reposting it? Like, good luck. There's not nearly enough legal infrastructure there for you to
Yeah,
to make that attempt. It's just like, so it's like
yeah. It's just
your
like
only hope as far as like making money off an NFT is hoping that someone else is as dumb, if not dumber than you, so that you could pawn it off of them for a profit.
it's the whole monkey's paw thing, isn't it? I've got a cursed object. Someone else gets fucking cursed. Let's move. Let's move on. What other stuff did we talk about, or did we see, or did I see that I thought that might have been interesting to talk about? That's how news works. Platinum Games, please don't. I like your games. I love Bayonetta, and I liked Vanquish and other Platinum games. But the CEO of Platinum Games, what's his face? Oh, company co-founder Atoshi Inaba has decided, yeah, you know what? We don't want to make rich single player experiences anymore. We want to look at bigger live serviced games. Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. Is as the Avengers, or as like Square Enix, Marvel's, William Shakespeare's, Baz Luhrmann's Avengers not taught you anything about bad live service games? Yeah.
I don't know. It Live services, I don't know. I understand like the desire to have games which are like, you know, they're plugged into a server and so they get access to up to date data and they can they can patch games live and I understand how these things are useful, but it's like they never end well. They never have an end of life plan, and that ongoing maintenance cost will eventually burn the game's budget out when income gets overtaken by cost.
Yeah.
As the income goes down, costs either stay the same or go up. There's going to be an intersection point where it's like, okay, we're no longer supporting this game because it's no longer financially viable, and that just wasn't like a thing before
Yeah.
like a decade ago.
Yeah, that's true. It's like, yeah, it's because it's basically what you see, the way that I just always sort of like the live service is basically right. We want to be an MMO without it's state to everyone you're an MMO without being an MMO. Or then that no, it's that meme, isn't it? Tell people that you're an idiot without telling people you're an idiot.
Well, it's just like, and you can, and the annoying thing is you can have live service games that aren't even like multiplayer. You know,
Yeah.
like
Ugh.
all it just means is it's connected to a server that's actively being maintained, which could, for baffling reasons, there are even single player games that do that now, and I
Mm.
don't understand it.
Yeah, we're shutting down
Mm.
we're shutting down the single player game that you've just spent 60 plus on. Bye.
Yeah, and that goes back to the things we've been talking about since the podcast started.
Yeah.
The whole idea of like, games as a service being essentially a form of legal fraud,
Yep.
without change to laws that currently standing laws, it is technically illegal to do that. It's just that no one has figured out or realized that it's illegal.
Mm.
Um,
Well,
and so it's
I
like,
can say that as an example. Like one of not this or not like the last Gone play session. Before we played Gang Beast last time, I had an entire intent of us playing a play session of Super Fight, the card game
oh yeah,
that was until like recently was still on Steam. In fact, it's still in a lot of our Steam libraries.
hmm
Can't use it anymore because it was purely connected to online servers. So it's not like we could even just do a local game of Super Fight. Yeah,
yeah, and
it
so
was
it's
like
like,
you had Twitch integration, and therefore, if we're going to turn out the servers, then the reason for having it is Twitch integration. We're going to get rid of it. It's like, no, basically, what people have done, is you've spent 15 bucks on well, just something that's a name in your Steam library now.
yeah, and it's like, so it's like you buy this game, it's only operational for a limited period of time, and it's like you have so many options for making it, giving it sort of a an afterlife.
Mm,
You know, either have an option where you can like host private servers, so that when the publicly hosted servers go down, the game isn't completely dead.
yeah.
Um, or at the end of life, it's like, all right, well, here's the code, here's what you need to create your own, you know, servers. Is like, programmers go nuts, have fun. If you really care, we're not supporting this game. We don't care anymore.
Hmm.
Uh, and obviously, the second option is like a lot more generous than the first, because it involves releasing, um, what would you call it?
IP.
Proprietary,
Yeah.
you know, information, which most companies wouldn't do, even if they weren't actively profiting off of it. That there's obviously that icky feeling of like maybe someone else could. S-
Hmm.
So yeah, I wouldn't expect them to do that, but like even just hosting private servers amongst friends or groups, having that option, or being able to play locally if it's a single player game. It's like there's no reason in the world why you should ever not have those one of those two features available for your online game.
Mm,
The
yeah.
only reason is just either laziness, greediness, because if you're just that afraid of somehow being exploited for your IP, or it's like just outright maliciousness. Like, I actively want you to not enjoy your game, which obviously is, I would like to assume that that's the minority of cases, but you never know. Maybe there's just some spiteful devs out there.
Yeah. Yeah. But
And it's a topic I've talked about a lot, and there's a way better made video about this topic. Go watch Ross
Cursed
Scott's games.
Farms.
Yeah, Ross Scott by Cursed Farm Games as Services Fraud. Go watch it. It's a good hour of your
Hmm,
time.
yeah.
Goes into the topic a lot more. Um,
Absolutely, and so yeah, so Inaba basically just turned around and said they want games that can be enjoyed and loved for a longer period of time. Have you not heard of something called replay value? You know?
yeah, well, it's like, hey, what game I was just talking about playing a minute ago? Final Fantasy
Yeah,
X. That game's 21 years old.
yeah,
Who won? It is almost as old as I am, and I want to play it again.
yeah,
And what's great about Final Fantasy X isn't just the fact that it's been re-released on on a more modern platform that I'm more likely to use. It's the fact that even if I didn't have that, I could still play it because I still have backwards compatible PlayStations, and I still have
yeah. It's like
cords and shit to play it on.
a disc. A disc. It was like it's like this physical media. It was like a downloadable game, but in your hand. It's
But
it's a crazy thing. So, speaking of downloadable games and stuff in your hand and big mistakes, act shocked, Duncan. Stadia's getting demoted.
Stadia, oh my god,
Google Stadia.
I feel like the Stadia is like the thing that like I know nothing about, except for all the like once a year times I hear about it where it's always bad news.
Yeah, Well,
It's like,
Stadia. Does Stadia just equal bad news in English? I don't know. It's just like, but yeah, Google, shocker of all shockers, have decided that something is not an instant success. I mean, granted, they've tried at it for a year or so, but yeah, decided it's not going to be the be all and end all of like human technology, and so they're looking at sort of demoting it down the priority bill, so it's not going to be a game streaming service, but possibly a experience streaming service. According to the Kotaku article, they're looking at trying to make deals with Peloton to make interactive or like playable experiences and online demos. It says Peloton, I guess at that point the interactive experiences would be streaming, I don't know, a fucking road in the middle of the screen while they're on their bikes and shit. And hold on, don't Peloton already do this? Why would they need stay? Jesus Christ, even their alternative option is something that other companies have been doing for years beforehand more efficiently.
I hope that game streaming. I hope that is a concept that dies on arrival and is never addressed again. That plays heavily into the whole
Games as a service thing, doesn't
games
it?
as service thing, because basically once you normalize like the game streaming as opposed to like purchasing, like the different, like the problem is right now when you buy a game, it's a product, you own it,
Mm-hmm.
it is
Yeah.
yours in your library. As
Mm-hmm.
long as it doesn't have like an ongoing subscription fee attached to it, like an MMO or something like that, it is legally a product. And you should, even if you don't always have it this in practice, you should have full control over over this product.
Yeah.
To certain extents, like reverse engineering it to create your own copycat product and selling it on the market would be a
Is a
breach
no
of
no.
that. Would be a breach of that type of arrangement. But within 99% of normal circumstances, you can do whatever you want with a product that you purchase.
Yeah.
But once you turn it, gaming, into a streaming service, like you pay whatever money to gain access to games on a temporary basis or a rental basis. Once you have that as like the norm for gaming, that's it. Games are no longer products. Their games are now a service, and you don't own any of them, and you can't do anything with them
Mm.
ever again.
Welcome to the the most expensive rental service. You know.
So yeah, I hope that every game streaming service company concept just implodes horrifically,
Yeah.
violently if possible. I actually wouldn't mind some actual destruction involved
Just,
on the in the act of implosion.
I wonder
Um,
I wonder how
as long as
much
no
it
one
would.
gets hurt, I don't want anyone to get hurt. That's
I was
just be
about to
clear
say, I
about
wonder
that.
how much it would cost to get a Stadia just to sledgehammer it.
I
Just
don't know.
like the Stadia, it'd have to be a Stadia pad, isn't it? Because it's all streamy and online. Let's have a look. Stadia. Let's have a look at shopping for Stadia. How much is one of their pads? Chromecast. It's a Premier Edition controller and Chromecast Ultra is £27.
Fucking listen, an Xbox controller.
Uh huh. Yeah. Well, let's be honest. I'd keep the Chromecast because that's usable.
Yeah.
Just imagine doing that. Imagine setting up an Immaterial Gamers video for that. I mean, we did say we were supposed to be looking at stuff that's not the Let's Play for the big videos, so, you know, maybe. It depends. Win a decent amount on a lottery or something, and I'd be more than happy to. I'll buy a new sledgehammer and buy a Stadia and just like, here we go. No context video as well, just the video starts up. I walk in, I put the Stadia controller on a block of wood or something, and then smash cut zooms in, and then suddenly sledgehammer, wham! And then I stare at the
There
camera.
you go.
Work, that'll work.
Could work.
Uh,
Could work.
and then there's just
Right.
this. there's just this little news somewhere. I mean, it's not really
Oh
something
yeah.
we can very briefly touch on it. The GTA
Let's
4
touch
is
our briefs
officially,
on this one.
yeah, yeah, GTA 6 has officially been announced, or announced as in development by Rockstar.
I
Woo!
think that might be the biggest. I like that. That's like the sort of half in the bag type of news. Like whatever. It's this thing that actually might be one of the most surprising pieces of news to come out this year. It's like wow, they're actually going to keep making video games
I mean, they
instead of
could,
just
instead of just building
dumping all the
shark
resources
cards.
into yeah,
Oh,
instead of just just you know legalize
mm,
gambling in GTA 5 forever.
yeah, and also
Um,
the occasional heist. Well, I mean, Dr. Dre doesn't pay for itself, does it? So so that actually that I'm gonna say that now. That has pissed me off, Royal. It's pissed me off, Royal.
oh
That
boy,
there was
what's that?
always supposed right. There was always the talk before GTA Online was the massive thing that it was. That after the main story of GTA 5, that there was going to be single player DLC involving Franklin, and they didn't do the DLC. They've actually brought the DLC out. Here's your Franklin themed DLC. It's a heist with Dr. Dre in GTA Online, and I'm like, fuck you.
Hmm.
Fuck you all over the place. It's like, oh yeah, no one would have played it online. Oh, no one would have played the single player experience. People come to GTA to join their friends in an online living world, and like, fuck off. You are telling us that you want us to join with our friends in an online
Wasn't
world, with
didn't
and stuff like
didn't
that.
didn't didn't GTA 5 release with like ravenous, maddening reviews saying it's like one of the best video game stories ever? Like I've never even played the campaign, but like people were like went wild for the single
Yeah, I
player in
mean,
that
I mean, the
game.
whole thing is, yeah, the whole idea of, I think what got people going was the fact that there were three protagonists in the GTA game where you were generally one silent protagonist or Nico, um, from GTA 4. There was this whole idea, this overarching story that intertwined three characters and brought them together to do this big, mother of all heists. And you could still do the open world thing, but you could do it you could see Los Santos in the perspective of three different people, wildly different sort of characters. And yeah, the story was fun. And so for some for some fucking focus group somewhere that's decided no, there's no money in single player gaming, and to then to shit on their own story is you know is a bit of a piss take, especially as as a group of people who've just done who just finished a podcast a little mini podcast in regards to narrative in uninteractive medium.
And isn't Rockstar like wasn't Rockstar, and correct me if I'm wrong, I could be wrong about my video game history here, but isn't Rockstar a company that built a whole like established themselves as one of like the forerunners of the video game like developing world
Mm,
primarily on the back of single player games?
yeah, yeah,
You know,
yeah.
like
Let's think of it this way: do you really think we would have had a 5 if GTA 3 fell flat on its fucking face? No.
yeah,
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 it
it's
was.
just
It was.
like
I mean, let's think of it this
there's
way: it
no
was. It
money
was
in
a
single player
massive.
gaming.
Yeah,
Okay.
it was a massive ambition to go from when they were still DMA Digital, the top down perspective of GTA 1, 2, and London, and to bring you know to bring a city to life like that in the form of GTA 3, which I guess now has not aged well, but yeah, to bring that in that sort of way, and then turn around and go, nah, single player doesn't sell. We know at the end of it, at the
It's
end of
like
the
well,
day, it's
it's
all
like
microtransactions and bollocks, isn't it?
well, it's like
It's just
and then yeah, and the thing of it is that it's like it's not that micro single player games don't sell. That's incorrect, and everyone who has ever said that knows that that is a bold-faced lie. What
yeah,
they're saying is that it doesn't sell as much. You
hmm
can't make as much money with single player games as you can with multiplayer
What was it? What was
DLC
it? What was it?
and
What was the terms?
microtransactions.
What was it? What was the one that pissed me off? What was it? Recurrent user spending.
Oh yes, there you go. I feel like I remember we had like a whole meme of like coming up with alternate phrases of that.
Yeah,
Um, but yeah, it's I can't remember any of them. Some of them were good. Um, it
I think
was
I mean that was back in the day of us just not even doing vodcasts. It was just our audio only stuff. That money back in the day, Jesus.
yeah, but it was what was I gonna say? I've lost my train of thought here.
But yeah, you were like saying the
But
single
yeah,
player
it's basically
thing.
it's just like I was like and that's where Valve got off too, right? Because they're probably the most infamous example of the people who gave up on the single player games the moment they found out uh how much money they could make off of the
Hats.
I mean obviously they had Steam as just in general as a
Yeah,
money making machine, but like even from like a first party standpoint, once they had enough multiplayer games with pats and skins and microtransactions and
yeah,
subscriptions and things like that, is like there's like, well, I guess we're done. We don't need to make games anymore.
mm, yeah. Which is a shame because Half Life. We're never gonna get the conclusion to that one. I guess technically, I
Nope.
mean, as far as I'm concerned, and this is me being selfish, I get we did get a conclusion to Portal. Woo! It
Yeah,
happened,
it
but
ended.
yeah. Oh well. So I mean, the fact that they're actually doing it. Well, I mean, I will keep my cards close to my chest on that because you never know that just GTA 6 will be an online only experience, and at that point,
Yeah, if they'll yeah, they'll be like it'll be like what they did with the Franklin DLC. It's like they'll say it's like, "Oh, look, we're having a new single player game." And it's like it's an online only experience and there's no campaign. It's like,
to
"Oh."
to which point at the end of that, I will just go again. God, I've given the middle finger quite a few times this podcast. If you see this on
uh,
video, just assume every time I blow a raspberry, that's me giving a middle finger.
that's his middle finger sound effect.
Yeah. Oh, that
Oh
one was
boy.
a wet one. Right.
Oh
Well,
god. Ryan, you sound like you're trying to wrap up, but I feel like before we go, I feel like there's a minor footnote to address, a
oh
minor
yes,
article of business that you and me need to talk about on a more personal note. By personal, I mean it's gonna be equally as public as the rest of this podcast.
yeah.
Um, but
There's not.
it's
There's
just
not.
it's more tied to you and me
Hmm.
directly. So there's this business about a little TV show web series that came out a while ago. You may have heard of. It's
It's
called
it, it,
Arcane.
it's not Netflix massive. It's not massive
Mm.
Netflix hit Arcane League of Legends, is it?
Yes,
I know that
that's the
show.
one. Arcane. Um, it's come to my attention, begrudging as it may be, that I am increasingly alone in this world of naysayers to Arcane. Um,
I mean, I'll say this. I'm still standing by my point because someone at my work explains like, oh yeah, I watched Arcane. Yeah, has anyone else watched Arcane in here? I need something. I stood from the opposite side of the room and just shouted, yeah, yeah, I had. Animation's fucking gorgeous. The soundtrack's delightful, and the narrative is slightly a mess. But you do you. I don't
yeah,
okay. And that I mean that's something that we discussed at the end of it. That I still turned around and said it was a great show ruined by a middling narrative. But it
yeah. I
still
think
made it, in my opinion, a good show, not the best show.
yeah, I think and I think sooner or later I'm gonna be forced to sort of face the music, as it were, in terms of coming around to accepting that just any personal grievances I have aside with the show,
Mm,
it is probably a better show than I gave it credit for initially. I have a particular podcast in mind that I have to watch 11 hours of content to
what?
get through over the
11 hours
next
of 11 hours of, from what you
5
told
months of
me,
my life.
part one,
For part 1, yes, the first 3 episodes.
which is believes
Um,
this is a podcast based from what the way that I see this. That's got to have been like live streamed, yeah, because I saw
oh
something about
yeah,
them mentioning super chats. So they
oh yeah,
spent
no, it's
half a
100.
day.
It's oh yeah, they do that all the time actually. Their typical podcasts range between 6 to 11 hours.
Wow.
When they have anniversary specials or like centennial specials, they'll often do either like a 24 or 48-hour deal. So,
I mean,
yeah,
am
they
I
go
like
hard.
seeing chat logos for about 8 people there as well? So
Oh
that's
yeah.
four times the amount of people who want to talk compared to what we did.
Yeah, and it's and I don't think they all stay in there the whole time. They might. Some of the I know the main hosts do,
Mm.
but yeah, they occasionally swap in and out. But yeah, it's 11 hours for the first 3 episodes. Eat your heart out, naysayers who say our 5-hour videos were too long. Um, but yeah, I've got a lot of content to catch up on, a lot of second opinions to evaluate and to hear out. And who
I
knows,
guess
maybe by
yeah,
the
that's
time I get through it, I'll be convinced that it was actually way better than I thought it was originally.
yeah, and then it'll soon be a serviceable show.
Yeah, I'm hoping that they at least I'm okay with like having like alternate takes on like minor issues that I was like uh where I was like either like maybe I was just being a little bit too nitpicky at that, and maybe it was actually better than I thought. I just hope that like there are a few things that I'm like I'm pretty hard to move on. Like I guess I might as well try to avoid spoilers as far as this goes. There's plenty of people who have yet to see it, and
Mm.
lots of and I don't want to ruin it for them, but there are certain things in Arcane that I'm like, I'm pretty stuck on this being a problem unless it is brought to my attention that it's very specifically isn't a problem for these reasons.
Mm.
So if they don't address those, or if they address them improperly, I'm still going to be stuck on that issue nonetheless. But like I
Mm.
say, I'm 35 minutes into an 11-hour podcast. I have a lot to go.
Well, oh, I guess I'll let you get to leaving that. What you've also made me bring up, because I thought we were going to bring up the other discussion. I made a mistake last week when I was when I was co-hosting with Terry on the podcast. I stated that we were going to be doing our Tuesday special on the 2nd of February 2022. As you realise, this is currently being recorded on the 8th of February 2022, and there was no Tuesday special. That's because Ryan fucked up. I meant to state that we're going to be doing Tuesday special on the 22nd of February 2022. And you did message about how that's going to work. Um, Past the point of being it's going to be a 5 hour plus stream. The intent is to go from time zone to time zone, starting
Yeah.
at 2:22 GMT to ending at 2:22 EST. Um, and with a bunch of Immaterial gamers, like either doing co-op stuff. We're trying to basically exploit the theme of two throughout stuff, and that's not to not to say there's only going to be two people doing it at any one time. There's probably going to be co-pilots and stuff like that as we go. But the idea is to just
Hmm.
sort of go through a few games, where either the theme of two exists or the number two or stuff. Just to let's be honest, this happens. This is happening like literally once in a generation. So yeah, we just sort of explore that. But we'll have a bit more information on the podcast closer to the time, like next week possibly, and I'll start stating stuff in the dev chat for everyone at Immaterial Gamers. So everyone's all aware of that. And then with that, sorry, I just noticed that there's a couple of users in the chat. I mean, really, why would someone have a chat name called Feet? Um, I'm sorry, I singled out just one member of the chat. But if they got a problem with that, they'll tell me and I'll stop. Right, we're gonna wrap this up then. So thank you very much for listening and watching. And if you want to see more of this, give us a follow if you're watching us on Twitch, and you'll know when we
Hmm.
stream again. Well, now that we've got like more regular shows going up, I'll get back to setting up the schedule so you can see when we stream. But we basically stream. Jesus, now this is coming up to like hold on, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Monday or Tuesday. Between 5 and 6 days a week now. And
Yeah. Well, yeah, we got streams almost every day these days, and some days we got two things going on.
yeah,
Because today we did
you did
the
Better Together live, and then
Persona. We're doing the podcast today as sort of our backup time slot.
yeah,
I was talking about doing Pokemon tonight, but we'll see how I'm feeling.
yeah. See how it goes. Don't burn out. Then so if I do the weekend takeover of RPN role playing Nutty games, which I think I've decided. Yeah, starting Thursday, Nobody Saves the World will be the next RPG to play, and it'll be a small one because I think that's like 15 to 20 hours. So gives something to happen while some other RPGs decide whether they want to be entering the brain space. I think I'm still saying with Andrew, I'm tempted to just play through Persona 4 Golden or acquire Persona 3 Portable. We'll just go with that. And play session happens every Friday at rotating times. But everyone will be now. But yeah, follow us and you'll know. You could always help us out financially if you wanted. Not that we're begging, but it helps improve the architecture and stuff like that. We're getting close to our first threshold, so something I discussed with Martin in regards to people getting a wish list of stuff that they could want to help improve streaming and stuff is on the plan. I'll add it in our minutes. And then we also have a YouTube and social media, which is all on the Twitch page. But you can find us at Immaterial Gamer on Twitter, at Immaterial Gamers on Instagram, facebook.com/Immaterial Gamers, and YouTube. Just search for Immaterial Gamers, and you'll find us that way because we don't have a channel URL. So suck it, YouTube. Please give us a channel URL. So we're gonna get off because it's time to. So from me, Ryan, and from Duncan,
That's me.
he salutes. And yeah, we're
It's
we're
been
ready
me.
now. Yeah, peace. See you next week. Where's that outro music? Here it is.